So you walk up to the black dudes and you're like, yo, this white dude's playing cards with you guys, whatever you're doing, but I'm about to hit this dude. What's their response?
They're like, not over here. Leave us out of it. Like we don't want none. It's gonna be a problem if you do that. So all I said is go that when I do it, get up and walk away. Just like act like you weren't even at the table. Just literally stand up and leave. Nope, ain't happening. So now I'm like, I got to get him some other way. He had a routine. Routines can be good or bad in prison. And his routine is he jogged like 3 laps before he'd go play cards. So I'm like, I got to hit him when he's jogging. So literally, dude's coming around, yeah, and the guy that's supposed to go with me, he's got all the great ideas, but he doesn't want to do nothing. You know what I mean? He like almost set me up. I'm not gonna lie, set me up for the dummy mission. So I get it. He's like, dude's right here running. I'm like, where? He goes right here. So literally, he ducks, and I'm swinging the thing, and it hits dude in the front of the forehead. His whole thing was like a pop can, bro. And I'm just thinking, oh my god, like I knew it was bad, you know. And then he ran. It was like instinct. I just chased him and hit him again. You know what I mean? And when he went down, somebody screamed my name, and it was like I was caught. Like even if you're not a violent person, you get caught up in the moment. And I threw the bag, laundry bag with the chunk of concrete in it, and we all the white guys like there's already waiting. There's about 10, 12 of us that agreed that they would help. And we ran into like a center thing and kind of did like a little spin move and ran different ways. Then we all just went and did our rec thing. And he gets up and he's waving at the tower. The guy hit. He's like, yeah, he's leaking. And me, like, you know, and I knew he was hurt, but I didn't like realize, you know, I don't know how bad. And I'm praying to God they see him. I'm praying for him. Like I'm like, please let him come get him. And he collapses again. And well, yeah, and then they come get him, and they let us finish rec. They let us finish rec. And so when I come off the rec yard, they got some guy standing there, not even the guy that handed me the chunk of concrete did anything. They got some guy standing that had nothing to do with it. But he's like 5'3". So they knew he was like 8 feet from where I hit the guy. So they know he saw it. And you know how it is. You know, if you get somebody hemmed up because something you did, you kind of got to be honest. So I'm literally about to get honest, you know what I mean? And dude tells me, hey man, don't say shit. Let's just see how it plays out. Yeah, he was stand up. So we go down to the shoe. Dude comes out, tells me dude died. He's like, piece of his skull hit his brain. He died on the way to the hospital. I ain't gonna lie, I turned 6 shades of white. The guy with me says, I'm real sorry to hear that, but what's that got to do with us? And I'm thinking he should have been a lawyer, you know? So they put us in the hole under investigation. Okay. So we're back there like 2 weeks. And finally, like sometimes you got bad shoe lieutenants, sometimes you got good shoe lieutenants. This one was a good one. He's like, look, man, there's too much stuff going on. I have no room. If they're not going to charge you or give you a freaking shot or write up, I'm kicking you to the yard. I'm telling them that. And then SIS came down. That's like their investigative services. And they're like, hey, man, we got a dude with a receding hairline. And I said, you know, half the white guys over there got receding hairlines. And he goes, that's why I'm letting you go. And I'm like, cool. You know what I mean? So I went back to the yard. Everything was good. You know what I mean? Like you get the respect, anything you've ever done bad or like messed up or pissed off, like it's white clean. It's almost like a get out of jail free card by going and doing something like that. And like 6 months later, though, they switched the yard up. They flipped it. And they literally said that, hey, man, Tucson, Arizona was like a sex offender yard. And they said, we're bringing a program here. And you got to sign a paper saying if you do anything to these people we're bringing here, you're going to get prosecuted. And so, like, I'm not signing no paper. Like, nobody, no, some people signed the paper, but they weren't white. And like, everybody white left. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm not even saying that on like no racial stuff. It was just like, as a group decision, we all got out of there. And it was a mass exodus. And I had a unit manager. She was cool. And she was like, hey, man, you know, you've been 5 years here. You screwed up in the beginning. You did some other stuff, but check it out. I'm going to get you to a medium. And for those that are listening that don't know what that is, like that's a sweeter spot. That's supposed to be a gravy, you know, not gravy train, but it's supposed to be good compared to where you're at. And so I ended up at FCI Greenville in Illinois. And there's not like they got Unicore, which is like a factory where you make money and whatever. But there's not a lot going on there, man. Like this is what I want people to know. And you kids or adults are thinking about doing something, that's the best you're gonna get. You might get some better food and you might be able to work in a kitchen and make $12 a day or something. And that's the best you're gonna get. Visits are screwed up. You're not going to see your family. You're not going to see your friends. You're in there still. You're still locked up. You don't have nothing. Only thing you do is now you can see traffic going by to a fence instead of a wall. And literally, I was there for about 4 years. I actually made it there 4 years, but I got in like 3, 4 fights. There was other stuff going on, but the weapon play didn't really happen. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like it was pretty much next, you know. And I messed up. I made some wine, screwed up big time. Went to USP Canaan. Like literally, they had a huge shakedown. They caught me with the wine. It's a 100 series shot. It used to be a 200 series shot. Now it's a 100 series. So it's like, and that's what I want people to know. You'd be better off assaulting somebody than get caught with wine, because assault is a lesser charge than a wine shot. I mean, and that's like that was mind blowing to me.
You
And they're
take
like, yeah,
it
you're
serious.
going to
But look, I want the people to know what a shot is. You know, a shot is a write up in prison. You get
yeah,
a
it's an infraction. It's like your felony or your misdemeanor. You know what I mean? Like that's what it is. You do a phone thing. You share something you're supposed to share. You do something like that's a misdemeanor. You get caught with wine. You assault. You do this. It's felony on up. You know what I mean? And if it's a serious enough one, they will case you up over it in the outside world. Not only like sanctions in prison, but you'll get years of your life taken just because you had to do something that you had to do. It's insane. But
so you go to Canaan, right? Canaan's a pretty live place. Did
oh
you go
wow,
there before or after the cop was killed, or were you there during that time?
nope. I went there right. Not right after. A couple years after, because they had already named the drive after the guy, the dead cop. They named like the mailing drive, like the address is Eric J. Williams Memorial Drive. That's the name of the prison now, like the mailing address for it. And yeah, them cops pretty much said, "Hey, we got a green light to do whatever we want." They said, "There's the BOP, and then there's us." They thought because that cop got killed there that they had a green light to do whatever they wanted to anybody, and they did. They killed people in those shoes, bro. I'm telling you, they did. It was crazy. They like I don't even know how they got away with it. They did though. It was insane. Um, when I first got there, Terre Haute was about the level of violence, but there, you probably already heard this. Like it was a gang, like some gangs were a dropout yard for them. Terre Haute was at that time, like the ABTs and just other. So we didn't really have a lot of influence as far as gangs. Well, I got to Canaan, and there's active gang there. You know, like lots of them, and there's Aryan Brotherhood, and there's Aryan Circle, and then there's like SAC, and there's a couple other little different things. There's DMI. There's then they got all the different other gangs. Eugene, everybody. Well, for the whites, the ABs and the ACs were like vying for power, and a dude named Stevie Riddle had just left like a month before I got there, and he had the yard on pretty tight. There's a bunch of them UAB guys that didn't like
I
him
want to
and stuff.
stop you for a minute because I want people to know that Stevie Riddle is an Aryan Brotherhood member from Boston. He's an
Boston,
East Coast guy who had a lot of power in the AB, right?
yeah. Yes, he did. He killed people in prison just to join them, and then he did more stuff on top of that. Like he wasn't playing. He was like, "Hey, I bought into this. This is what I'm about." And he had respect from coast to coast. You know what I'm saying? So when I got there, literally a guy named Big Mark was there, right? And him and Stevie didn't like each other over some stuff that happened at the Schmoo. I guess he didn't cuff up when they were bucking over some razors or some stuff. Richie guy was there with Stevie. That's Stevie Riddle's cousin. And so they're all, and so Mark, he's washing it under the rug. Now he's the man, okay? So he's got these other guys that are like just bowing down to him. But I'm not gonna lie to you. I heard from other people that he like straight bought his patch because he was a millionaire and he had tunnels of dope or whatever he did, man. It was he got locked up. And I'm not saying he was a punk. He wasn't. He was a big dude. He's pretty tough, but he wasn't tough enough to run somebody's life. That's what I'm saying. And he tried. You know what I mean? Everything was mine, not ours or this or this. Mine, my yard, mine. And it goes to their heads, man. The thing about power, man, it attracts the worst and corrupts the best. And literally that dude freaking he let it go to his head, man. And he had a guy named AB Frank from Mississippi, and I don't know, like the viewers probably don't understand, but like you got your state, different states got their own little AB factions. Well, like the main ones, like the federal and are all California. That's what the state guys are trying to become. They want to become that original top tier. You know what I mean? It don't matter if they were the top guy in Mississippi. He wants to be on the porch with these guys. You know what I mean? And that's so he's got like do boys that are violent, that are doing stuff for him, trying to scare people into line. You know what I mean? And he uh he ran it for a little while, man. But them AC guys, there's like more of them than there is ABs, and they might not be like as this, but the numbers are going to win, bro. You already know that. There's only so many times that you can go out to a yard and you might be a real guy, but you got a couple flunkies with you, and you can tell these ACs, hey man, this is what's going to happen, woo, and over anything, and they're like, okay, and they might not openly do it, but they plotted on the guy, okay, and they're like, hey, check this out. We're going to wait till dude's at work. We're going to do this. We're going to get him in the chow hall so we know we don't have nothing on him. And they did it meticulous, Chad. I'm telling you, they got, there's ways to get weapons around the metal detectors and all that. Well, they did it was a plot out thing. They got these weapons in there. Then they went and posed as kitchen workers. They went and literally got scrubs like they got shirts like kitchen workers wear like shirts. So they put these shirts on and they're in there wiping tables, getting ready to hit this guy. Okay. He's looking like Jesus at the Last Supper, surrounded by his minions, breaking bread and stuff. You should have seen him. And I swear it was like that movie, A Bronx Tale. Remember he's seeing the guy getting ready to hit Sonny at the end. That's how it was. I'm looking up, and someone was like, my buddy Carl's like, them dudes don't work in the chow hall. When's Jimmy worked in the chow hall? And I'm like, I don't know. And I looked up, and I'm like, right at that time, they both looked at each other like, they did a head nod, and like sharks, they went right in on him. And one of them grabbed him around his head and started slicing his face, and the other one started stabbing him in his neck. And he tried standing up at first. He did try. And guess what? After that, he did like a nosedive under the table. He tried to hop. He tried to boogie scoot under the table.
That was big. Big Mark was trying to get away, huh?
Well, absolutely he was. And all those guys that he thought was his, do boys and all that, not one of them stood up. Only one guy said, "That's my West Coast homeboy. I got a problem with it." And I'm like, you should have did something then. You know what I mean? Like, if you're my friend and I'm watching you get cut 2 feet from my face, I'm gonna at least do something. I mean,
I came through Canaan through transit not right around, but right after that had happened. So I was down there. You know how they got the holdover unit over there, and they got a bunch of them. Well, they got a bunch of them dudes, because there's no room in the shoe. And they made me an orderly because I'd been in a pen before and all that bullshit. So I had looked out for a bunch of them dudes down there. People were down there starving, trying to eat. It was the Martin Luther King holiday, man. And I got stuck there for about 2 weeks. But, I met a bunch of them AC dudes down there, and they were telling me about what happened and that Mark was trying to get away. And, dude, I mean, what do you think that did to him as far as getting cut and really not fighting back?
Well, listen, I can tell you about that because he ended up at Beaumont. And I ended up there after him, and he'd already left again. But he told everybody there, every time he looked in the mirror, he had a big cut on his face all the way down it. And he says, I look like a freaking piece of crap. He said other words, but I look like a scumbag. And it's because anyone with cuts on their face in prison, it's usually, they call them $1.50 usually, but because that's how many stitches it takes to sew it up. Anyway, so he was really, it hit his ego. You know what I mean? Because think about it, a year or two later, he's still talking about it every time he looks in the mirror. And, it deflated him.
Do you think that hurt his rep as far as being an AB where he didn't really fight back? He was hiding under, because I heard the stories, throughout the system where, man, dude was hiding under the table, bro, like a sucker. Do you feel like he was a sucker because he hid under the table?
He was twice the size of both of them together. These guys that attacked him were 150 pounds soaking wet, each one. I promise you. And I'm not saying nothing bad about Jimmy or Psycho, but they're not big dudes. Mark's bigger than me. He's 6'2", probably 240 pounds, 230 pounds, And yeah. I mean, yeah, he was sitting down. Yeah, they were on him, stabbing him and all that. But you know what I mean? You're either about it or you're not. I mean, it's one of them things. I just see.
Let's talk about that prison code. Someone puts their hands on you in prison, you're supposed to fight back, right?
God, are you? That's what I'm saying. I didn't see him swing back once. Not once.
You ever seen dudes in prison get hit and not fight back?
Yeah. Yeah. And it was either because they were cowards or it's even guys that you had already seen do stuff that you knew weren't cowards. It stunned them. That first hit or whatever happened to them, it shocked. They went into shock almost. You know what I mean? It wasn't a fight or flight even. It was a stun,
Take the fight right out of you.
Yep. Deflate.
Now I know a little bit about your story, but you're in Canaan. I know you make it to Beaumont, but some people press you in Canaan. What happens to you in Canaan, bro?
So literally, bro, I got into 4 before I left, but 3 violent incidences. One was a piece of work. One was a check-in move. Somebody tried using me as a check-in move because I was the only one with balls to try to get them to come to the yard and handle their problems. So of course, if I'm the only one to your face telling you stuff, and you're just wanting to make it go away, because the dude that went and worked at the cadre. So they're like, he's got to go. He's got to go because, you're working at the cadre at the schmoo. And so they wanted to hit him. So I'm like, look, he wasn't a bad dude. But I'm like, look, you're a little slow. Get your ass out here to the yard. Let's talk about this. Well, he won. So I'm the only one coming to him. So now he's looking at Jake's the only one with a problem with it. Jake's the one. If I get Jake out of here, freaking, I'm good. But that wasn't the case. They was getting ready to hurt that guy bad. And so literally, I went through the metal detector. He was waiting at the door. He hit me. I ended up rolling around with him, stabbed my thumb in his eye, and he's screaming. And the cops, though, I'll admit this, they were standing there, two of them, and they knew what he'd done was a check-in move. So they were like, look, they didn't even do nothing to me. They didn't mace me. They just stood there and let me do what I had to do. And then they hit the deuces, the panic button, and all of a sudden I hear cheese. And I look up and all I see is a forearm come flying and knocks me backwards and literally like busting my leg. You know what I mean? And it was crazy, bro. So it was that, and I beat up some other guy.
Stop you for a minute because there's going to be people being like, "What the cadre pro? What do you mean?" So let me tell them. All right, the cadre program, and you're going to answer some of these questions. The cadre program is you go work at the SMU, the special management unit. You're passing out food or you're doing laundry. But white politics, right? Because I don't think they really do this with the other races. They feel like if you worked at the cadre program, you're a snitch, right?
Yep. You're helping keep them in there. That's the way they look at it. You're helping the police keep us in there.
They want to crucify this dude because he worked there. No other violation. He was there cooking the food or washing clothes or whatever. So now automatically he's like a cop, right?
You gotta die, yeah. And I'm trying to do the right thing and be like, look, bro, at least come fight for yourself. I'm trying to, and he wouldn't do it, man. He was scared, and so he hit me. I ended up beating, I got the better of him. And then we went to shoot. I came back to the yard. He didn't, because they knew what it was. Even the DHO, which is like the judge, he's like, yeah, dude was doing a check-in move. And I mean, that's crazy when the judge tells you they know what it is. I mean, because nobody hits somebody in front of the cops. Nobody. Like, it don't matter if it's your worst enemy. You don't do that in front of the cops unless you're trying to look for a way out.
Now tell us what else happens over there at Canaan. White politics.
Yeah, so I get out the shoe. And I beat up some other guy over some laundry. We were like in the laundry business. I ended up beating him. He was a nobody. He was from Carolina. His name was Bob. After that, now you gotta understand, Chad, I've been here 2 years. Okay. I've done almost 18 months of it in the shoe. Because most places you go to the shoe, you get your DHO sentence once you finally see them, and then you're good. Well, there they make you wait, then you see DHO, then they put you under investigation for a threat assessment. And so they drag this out, man. I'm talking, when you go to Canaan shoe, you're going to be there 4 months. And there's nothing in there. It's not nice. And so literally, bro, I get out. Some guy from Boston, he owed like $1,800 to some guys, and we had open cells. So he told one of the New York guys, he's like, hey, man, when I leave, I'm going home and like, whatever. He's like, you can just move into the cell. I'll move you in like before I leave, and it'll be at your cell now. So that's a wholly different group, a different gang. And it's like anything in there, Chad, you got to tell them. TVs, tables, cells, those are property. Like that's all we have. And if you give up one of those to another race, because now they have it, and it's like their numbers grow, and it's not a good thing to do. So I get out the shoe. Dude tells me, he's like, you spoke up for dude. He owes me that money. He gave me this, but if he said, I have enough respect for you. I like you, Jake. So if it's going to be an issue for you with these other white guys, then I guess I'll just give it up. If not, though, I'll give you $500. You know what I mean? Because dude owed me $1,800. I mean, he owed him $1,800. Now he's willing to give me $500 just to shut up and not go to the yard with it. And so I did. I'm not gonna lie, I did. You know what I mean? I was so
okay. Hold up. You took the money. Did you think, man, you could be in danger doing this shit?
What is it?
Did you think you could be in danger for taking the 500 to be quiet if it comes out?
I mean, listen, kind of, but not really. Like, and I ain't gonna lie to you, Chad. At that point, I wasn't even worried about it. I was so sick of that yard and then politics. It was a junkyard. It was a junkyard. It was the worst prison I'd ever been in. So I'm like, okay, worst thing's gonna happen. I'm gonna get into it, a couple people or something. I don't care. You know what I mean? Like by then, I already had my mind made up. You know what I mean? Like I'm looking around me, and there was just straight lames there, and it was like there wasn't none of us anyways. And the ones that were there, they were lame, and it was just like I was like, I don't care. And so the Boston guys, they were his home. They were the guy that I'm talking about that owed the money. That was his people. And there's two different groups. There's independents, and then there was Boston Car, because they had like 20, 30, 40 guys there. And so literally when I said that, even though guy's gone, they got a problem with it. Now like it's basically like your best friend and you're talking bad about him. You know what I mean? Like they're like, don't you say that about our homeboy. So, anyways, there's a meeting on the yard. Everybody agrees though. Independents in there. They're like, look, dude's in the shoe. The guy that was owed the money that got the sale, he's in the hole now because he got caught with a bunch of drugs or whatever. And they're like, let's write him a note and get it to him through the orderly and see what he says. If he says what Jake said, that dude gave him the sale and this and that, he's good. And if not, because they didn't even know the whole part. They're thinking I sold the cell to him, and I didn't. You know what I mean? I'm in the shoe when it happened. So anyway, so I'm like, cool. Everyone that shakes hands agrees. There's a guy from Boston I didn't like anyways. He was the one really pushing. I told him, let's go fight over here in the bathroom. He didn't want to fight. So it's like everyone's like, no, just let it settle until we get the kite. Cool. Bro, it wasn't 3 days later. I go to the chow hall, and some New York guy, is a black guy, comes to me and he's like, hey man, they're about to hit you. And I'm like, who? And he tells me, and I go, they can't do that because in prison, you can't just go attack somebody else from another group without that group having a problem with it. And so I'm like, I'm not worried about it. And then dude tells me, hey man, my homeboy says, hey, don't go to the chow hall. Don't go there. Like, let me go to the yard and talk to the other homies, and then we'll go to them and tell them, hey man, if this happens, it's gonna be an issue. Well, I'm stupid because I'm like, you know what? I'm not worried about it. They're gonna have to do that. So I go down there, bro, and I still remember it was spaghetti, and I'm sitting there eating spaghetti. I'm looking at them because they got their own table. We had our own table. They had their own table. So I'm watching them, and a couple of them did. They turned around and looked at me, and they're like, you know what I mean? And it wasn't like nothing threatening. They're just glancing. So I'm like, well, they all get up. They all get up and leave, Chad. There's not none of them there. So I'm thinking, okay, maybe the threat's over with. So I walk out, and when I walk out, I look to my right, and there's two dudes standing there. Dude named Luke and a dude named Wes. And like they're from like New Hampshire or Maryland or Massachusetts and Maine. Like they all ride together though. You understand? Like they all ride under Boston, that whole Northeast. So I go outside. They try to do a distraction move to distract me, like thinking I was just going to be some, hey Jake, here, do this for us. And I wasn't going to know I'm about to get beat up. So then I just pulled my move and I'm like, hey, check it out. Just turn around and walk away, you know? And dude's like, what are you talking about? And I swear to you, man, it's been so crazy though. I got them both in front of me. And dude looks over at the other guy. And I swear, like, I wasn't like that close, but I swear he was like, he knows. Like he was like, he knows. Like they were whispering to each other because how I was acting, you know what I mean? Like basically, like, I know I'm about to get hit. And the minute I threw their distraction on the ground, they both stepped forward. So we get into like a minute, 30 some second fight. And that don't sound like a lot, but I'm telling you, when you're fighting even one person, let alone two, and you see somebody else, a third guy waiting to see if you might do something crazy, like and win or something, they always send one more than it takes. That's a long time. A minute and 30 seconds, 38 seconds is a long time, man, to be doing that. I got a perforated eardrum over it and some other stuff. And the only saving grace where I felt better was 2 days after I go to the shoe, they're like, look, we can't let you back on the yard. Anytime two people jump on one person, like that one's getting shipped. And so they're like, look, we can't let you back on the yard. But before they even told me that, the guy, Scotty, that went fight me in the bathroom that was pushing the issue, he comes back there all beat up. Like his own people had to get him, you understand? Because the independents went to the Boston guys and were like, look, man, who called that shot? And fucking the actual guy that had the keys was like, well, you know what I mean? Like he was actually just like a puppet, but he was like, it wasn't me, it was him, Scotty, Boston Scotty. So they got Boston Scotty, they booked him. And yeah, he got sent back there too. He got shipped. So, you know,
You're in Canaan, you get shipped. It's kind of like a blessing to leave there, right?
it was a blessing. It
Was
was a blessing.
Adam Oliveri over there from New York when you were there? Big Adam?
No, you're talking about the dude with the deuce and stuff, right?
I'm talking about my old celly. He stabbed the CO, Adam, Big Adam. How about Dennis Mooney? Did you know
No,
Dennis?
no.
Okay, so anyway, you go to the hole in Canaan. Now you're on your way where?
Well, I don't know yet. So I go all the way to, I'm asking them and they won't tell you. So I go all the way to Oklahoma City, Con Air. It's not like the movie. Nicolas Cage wasn't there. And literally, I get to Oklahoma City and you go through a little tunnel almost. And there's a guy with paperwork. He's like, where you want to know where you're going? Yeah, of course. So he's like, USP Beaumont. And guess who's in front of me? And guess who's going to Beaumont with me? Richie, rich guy. Yeah, yeah. And so rich guy looks at me and he says, apparently USP Beaumont needs some good woods. Yeah, and I'm thinking to myself, Jesus Christ, and so yeah, I ended up going to Beaumont, and what's so crazy though, Chad, is the system's big, but it's small. Like you know what I'm saying? There's only 16 of them pens. I mean, that's like if you count all of them. There's like even the messed up ones. And there's a 300,000 freaking people in the Fed system. And you gotta understand each one of those pens only holds about 1,000, right? 1,500. So you're talking 20,000 people in 16 different prisons, right? Now, how many of them are white? So there's probably about 1,500 white guys in all those pens. If you added it all up, I mean, damn near, right? It's a very small system. It's a small world. Like people, you're gonna know them for good or bad. And literally, I walked into Beaumont. I went in there, I'm like, I'm Michigan Jake. Where's the Independence at? And like, there's some guy like one of them Irish mob dudes. He's like, looking all crazy in the door when I come, and I'm like, hey, he was burnt out. Well, anyways, my buddy James Berry, he's from Kansas City, right? And I've actually been to 2 other prisons with this dude. So he's like screaming and like happy that I'm coming in the door, and he actually's got the keys for the Midwest car. Like literally, he's calling the moves, and I was just like, wow, okay. So I mean, it was smooth rolling. You know what I mean? For the most part, literally, I moved in with him. COVID hit. COVID, like literally, I mean, I don't think were you there when COVID hit? Were you still in there? Yeah. So yeah, they went above and beyond for that COVID. They're talking like they wanted to lock us down like that anyways. Like you're talking about 23-1. Like you and that's lucky. And then they started doing each cell for 15, 20 minutes. And I mean think about it, you gotta use a phone, a computer, if that, and shower and wash your butt and go do whatever you gotta do in 15, 20 minutes. That's insane. And that's out of a whole day. And if they don't come in or something happens somewhere, you don't even get that 15, 20 minutes. You know what I mean? Like I will say this, Beaumont, it made me more comfortable than almost anywhere I've been, but I've never been so dirty in my life. I've never taken
Stop
so
you
many.
for a minute. Let me stop you because you said Coleman made you feel more comfortable, but that's because you were locked in and there wasn't no violence going on because you're locked in a cell, right?
Right, right, exactly.
Sad
Because
reality. Sad, sad reality.
it is a sad reality when you're hoping to be locked in a closet with another dude the size of a bathroom. Because when you're out there, you never know what's going to happen to you, and you ain't even got to do nothing. That's why I want these people to know that are home, man. That thinking that they're tough, you ain't even got to do nothing. You got to be on guard 24/7 because some other idiot did something. It's like boot camp. It's like you're in the military without the benefits. I mean, it's insane. Like once a guy does something, everyone gets punished. I mean, it's crazy, man. It's crazy, and the whole time they're keeping you alive on baloney that don't even look good. And it's like, I don't care if you have $1 million. If you can't go to commissary for 2 months, what's it matter? You're eating baloney. I mean, it's crazy, man. It's
To the
it's
point
it's
where my body wouldn't even eat that shit. I just couldn't eat it, man. And I'd go hungry. So there's a lot of people out there watching. They don't even realize what it's like to be in federal prison. They think you're working out, you're eating. There's days
no.
when you're starving in there, right?
What I used to do? I used to fast. I'd pound water all day and wait till the end of the day, and I'd eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and it'd only take about 8 minutes. And I'd go to bed full. I'm saying I just wanted to go to bed with food in my stomach. You know what I mean? And it's like because if you don't eat something, you can fast. You know what I mean? Like I literally would fast, bro, and it was crazy, man. I mean, it was crazy.
You're there during COVID, but eventually, do you come out? Is there violence going on? Is it still bloody Beaumont? I mean, what's going on?
So Mark had just left. There was a dude named Thunder. He was like Aryan family and AB all together. Don't even ask me how that happened. But anyways, he tried getting a drone to come lift him up, like a 70-some thousand-dollar drone. He got a cell phone, okay, and he's trying to get this drone to come pick him up and carry him out of the prison, okay. So yeah, they came with like a goon squad, grabbed him up, took him to like I think Atlanta, and held him, like you know what I mean, and like solitary in Atlanta. So um, when I got there, it was a mess. There was a dude named Jolly. He thought he was AB, but he wasn't made yet. He was like, there's a couple guys, old heads from the AB, they let out of the ADX. And I swear to you, they might have been killers back then, but after 10, 20 years in ADX, they just wanted to be left alone. And so you got this dude with these big mustache hanging down to here trying to call shots for him, like, because he's younger and he's trying to get made and he's out stirring up the pot. Well, he ends up telling these guys in the unit to go hit these Irish mob guys. Okay, the one that I met when I walked in the unit with all the tattoos and the other guy, right? Well, they get tipped off. So we thought they came to us and we're like, look, here's the thing about Beaumont. Most cars are independent, but the West Coast guys are West Coast independents, but the AB still calls the shots for them. I don't understand how they let that happen, but they do. They're like their little do boys. So these West Coast guys don't even realize that these AB guys are trying to get the Irish mob guys hit. Like they didn't even get the freaking memo. And so the Irish mob guys are like, we're going to book them West Coast dudes. You know what I mean? And
These Irish mob guys are a gang from Oklahoma, right?
yes, yes, sir. Oklahoma and that whole little general area.
Some dangerous dudes in that Irish mob.
Some of them are. Some of them are goofy, but some of them are very dangerous. You know what I mean? And literally, bro, we thought that they was gonna get. We was hoping they got the AB guy for real. That Jolly, the guy that was trying to do all the trauma. We was hoping they just got him out of there. Well, they did. They waited till one of them went to medical, and there was only like three West Coast dudes in the unit because there's only two of them in the unit. And they came to us, like the Midwest guys, and they're like, look, man, you know the situation. Are you guys going to get involved if we do this? And we told them, F no, we're not going to get involved. Like, handle your business. I mean, because like it was, if you want to be listening to gang members, then you're in a gang. I mean, that's where we looked at it. Like, you want to do their dirty work, then you're in it with them. So this is the crazy thing, bro. There's a guy who worked in maintenance, and he got like this metal strip that goes like I've hardly ever seen them, but it was almost like a stainless steel strip that went like on the bottom of the door at the one of the handicap cells, and somehow he got it, and the dude puts an edge on this thing, okay, and we all know it's gonna happen, but like no one's saying nothing, of course. So there's a dude named Griff from California. In fact, he just got out. He's sitting there talking to me, okay, and there's a guy over here named let me think, what's his name? Jay. Okay, he's from like Colorado, but he runs with the West Coast. Okay, so and then there's some guy that's like he shouldn't even be riding with him, but he's just minding his own business, reading a book, not sitting in the chair in the day room reading a book. So, anyways, I see the two Irish mob dudes, a dude named Trap and a dude named Monkey. Okay, so look, it's crazy. It was the same thing as happened at Canaan. They looked at each other and nodded. Dude throws his coat away, okay? Like he was covering this machete with a coat. And Chad, I'm not lying. A knife's a knife, a banger's a banger, a bone crusher's a bone. This was a machete. It was that piece off the door, off the bottom of the floor. He put an edge on it, okay? And so he comes running up and he cracks the guy Griff that I'm talking to in the head. And literally, thank God he didn't hit his neck. So he like literally bolts out the chair and runs right into me. And I ain't gonna lie, I'm trying to go this way, right? Like I'm trying, because he like ran into my arms, and I'm trying to. And so he's chasing dude around with this machete, okay? And then by this time, Monkey had already took off on that J dude at the computer, right? He's hitting him. And it was so crazy because they almost switched spots. Like dude comes up and hits Jay in the head with the machete right here and knocks his teeth out. He's like just like this. He looks like that guy of Pirates of the Caribbean with the octopus beard. He's like, yeah. And so look, they're getting the business. They don't even know why. And then the guy reading the book, he throws the book down because he's seeing two of his guys get attacked, and they knew he wasn't a threat. But he has to do something because if he doesn't, they're going to get him later. So he comes running up and tries to tackle the guy that had the machete. He throws the machete. I swear to you, this dude named Trap, he starts ripping in his pocket like this. And Barry, my buddy, he's like, what's he doing? All of a sudden, we see his pocket rip. He's got this knife he made out of melted cups. See, they take cups and they light them on fire until they melt. So he goes, oh, he's got another knife. Like he was totally armed, So this kid, John, that doesn't do nothing but read books, he gets stabbed like 6 times. And it's like, think about that. You're reading a book and now you got to go do something because some guys you barely know that are in the same group as you, And so this kid gets stabbed all up. And it's crazy, man. And they ended up, believe it or not, they shipped John. They shipped the Irish mob dudes, and they let Griff and Jay come back to the unit. Believe it or not,
Could have killed their character, their credibility, man. I mean, they got the business, right?
Yes, they did, man. Because time to time, Griff would say, because he ran. You see what I'm saying? When he got cracked in that head, he ran into me, and he was so quick. Like, he was like, boom! He was trying to get away, and so like he said, I feel like he kept saying, I feel like the B word. for running, man. You know, and like he was trying to get acceptance. You know what I'm saying? It's like he wasn't a bad guy though, but you know what I'm saying? Like even though he would remind me, he looked like Edward Norton. That's what's so crazy. But
Anyway, listen, Jake, man, before we get ready to go, man, I mean, you've been through some stuff. I mean, we're winding down here. You've been out,
yeah,
what, a year and 2, 3 days now?
a year and 3 days. I got out March 22nd. So yeah, like 2 days.
Over in Beaumont when did you go home from Beaumont?
Yeah, I was there when the MS guys and the Mexican Mafia guys. They just that happened right as I was getting ready to leave.
We're going to talk about that on a different video because
Yeah,
I just went down to Beaumont and did some footage, and we're going to put some clips in that video with you. But anyway, man, before we get ready to go, man, what message would you give the dudes that are on the wrong path, homie?
listen, man, it's not a
60
game. It's
seconds.
not a game. This is your life, man. This is your family's life. It ain't just you, it's your family. They're gonna die. They're gonna move on. You're gonna be lost. Like it's not worth it. I don't care, Chad, if they came back and said, hey, you can never have done that, or we'll give you $10 million and you can do it again. I would stay out here. I'm happy. I'm content. I swear to God, at $10 million. You know what I'm saying? Like if they were like, Chad, you got to redo your sentence, but we got 10 million waiting at the end. I'm good on that. I'm good. I work 60 hours a week. My hands are got calluses, all this. I got a good woman. Like literally, like I live simple, man. I like to go out to eat. I like to go to bed early. I watch Netflix. I work out still a little bit. You know what I mean? Like I'm happy, man. And those kids, that you guys got to realize, man, it's not a game. It's not a game. If you think you're beating them, they will change the law and name it after you and then get you. Like they're not playing. They got endless resources. And it's like you might get slicked 2, 3 times, but what happens the third or fourth time? And it might you know, I'm not gonna go into all that. I'm just saying like there's gateway things, but like you might do like petty crimes. But what happens the day you do a serious crime and you got all those petty crimes as you know the MIPs and the little possessions that you didn't think were nothing? The feds are gonna add that up. And then you're gonna be like, wow, I mean, I didn't realize I was a career offender. Like, what do you mean? And that's 15, 20 years. Who's got 15, 20 years to give away?
You're on a bus to Beaumont and you get there and things get real. But listen, you know, I think the moral of the story is look, man, your freedom's valuable. Look in the mirror, ask yourself what you're worth because you could end up in a prison and end up reading a book, and just because you associate with these people, now you're stabbed 6 times. It might only be one time that takes their life. So anyway, Jake, listen, man, I'm glad that you're out. I'm glad that you know you're doing good things. You know, you changed your life. Hopefully, you've been out for a year and 3 days, which is good. But you got to keep on pushing, man. Keep working. Never forget where you came from, and man, never go back. I'm gonna tell people, man. Blood on the Razor Wire TV. If you like what we're doing, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. With respect, Blood on the Razor Wire TV. Until tomorrow, we're out.
Thank you.